Hello and welcome back to Tetra Football. George here, and today we've got a bit of a 2-for-1 special going on for you guys. I'm going to be reacting to Premier League Matchweek 11, and I'm also going to be giving you the others Matchweek 12 predictions, as well as my own. And the first game of quite an exciting game really, an interesting game let's say. Brentford versus Brighton on Friday night ended up 2-0 Brentford. A lovely finish from Toney, one of the most in-form England players right now. Definitely should be going to the World Cup. And Brighton, they had some chances, just couldn't put it away. So maybe an unfortunate result for them. Maybe didn't reflect how the game looked. But Brentford managed to get the result. Toney scored his good goal after a good skill from Bueno. And then put away a penalty too. Nothing more to argue there. Just a nice win for Brentford. And the next game up in the weekend was Leicester versus Palace. 0-0. Boring game. That's all you can say about it. Just boring game. There's no real spark from either team. Can't say anyone really deserved to win. So yeah, 0-0 fair result. And then next game of the weekend was between two of the teams people thought would get relegated. However, are both high flying at the moment compared to where people thought they'd come in around mid-table. And that was Fulham versus Bournemouth. Ended 2-0. I mean, at the moment they just look like two fairly evenly matched sides. Bournemouth still haven't lost since Liverpool beat them 9-0, which is just brilliant form for them. I can't remember his name, but the guy they've got as interim, they should just keep him as their normal manager. He's been so good for them so far. And Fulham, they haven't won in a while now, so they might come closer to where people thought they might after a good start to the season. They haven't won in a while, been a bit off form. And then a proper relegation 6-pointer. Wolves versus Nottingham Forest, a game that no one was really excited for. No one thought it'd be like an intense, exciting game. I mean, people did expect that it would be boring, but it was a big game for both clubs in the relegation fight, and Wolves managed to scrap a 1-0 win. I mean, if Wolves win, what else do you expect? They don't score many goals, don't concede many. A 1-0 Wolves win is pretty much expected. And the next game, if it comes up, is Leeds versus Arsenal, and Arsenal won 1-0. There's a couple issues with power cuts and stuff, but the game did eventually get underway. Saka scored, and yeah, Arsenal managed to keep top of the league. 4 points, something like that. 4 points, I think, clear of Man City, and a good win for them, grinding out a result. And yeah, simple game really. Next up was another simple game in actuality, Chelsea versus Aston Villa, although fair play to Kepa, absolutely brilliant, and he's looking like he's going to make a comeback under Graham Potter and maybe finally be worth all that money they paid for him for the next few years. And yeah, he made some great saves. Villa just couldn't put it away with him in goal, and yeah, he kept Chelsea a clean sheet, and didn't help them win the game, basically, simple as. Next game, didn't get to see this one. Southampton won, West Ham won. Just a simple 1-1 draw, really. I read something about some controversy about it, but didn't actually see it, so I don't know. But yeah, just 1-1 draw for both clubs. Both clubs just needing a win. Southampton haven't won in a while. West Ham back on form, probably wanted to continue that. But the next game is Man United versus Newcastle, and two teams competing for a similar position in the league this season. Newcastle, they had a penalty shout that should have been a penalty, not given, so that is unfortunate for them. United held on to the draw, but Newcastle are looking dangerous at the moment. I wouldn't want to play them as any team. We saw against when they drew 3-3 with City. They are a challenge to any team, although they do draw a lot. Don't quite pick up as many wins as maybe their fans would like, but that is sort of what happened really. Just Newcastle 0-0. Newcastle should have got the win, would have been a brilliant result for them. Probably the first time they would have beaten United for a while, and at Old Trafford. But yeah, Newcastle got unlucky, so we can say really. And the big game of the weekend, I believe the final one, as a Liverpool fan, so happy with this game. Liverpool 1, Man City 0, and sorry about that. Gotta say, is there a shout for Joe Gomez going to the Qatar World Cup with players like Mings you'd normally throw in there as a squad player? He's been poor for Villa. He's why Chelsea got their first goal of that game. And then there's been injuries to right backs. He can cover right back. You might have to take him as a right back at this rate. Still got Trippier though, and yeah, he looked brilliant. James Milner at right back. I thought he'd get rinsed for the game. I knew it was going to end up with him and Gomez right back, centre back, and after their recent performances, honestly thought we'd get rinsed, but they put the work in. Brilliant games from both of them, and Alisson, for the third time in their Liverpool careers, managed to assist Salah for a goal. I think 2 against United. I think twice it happened against them, and now 1 against City. He broke a record for goalkeeper to assist the same player 3 times, which is mental. And yeah, just a really, really good performance from Liverpool. Very, very good team effort, really. There are a couple standouts, but everyone played well. And Joe Gomez managed to keep out Haaland, which is another key thing, maybe taken into Qatar, because that takes some doing. And yeah, overall, Liverpool played well. I mean, I want to give a shout out to Jota. He got injured in the final few minutes, but his work rate was amazing, helping double back with Robertson. But yeah, well happy with that as a Liverpool fan. What a win for us. And I believe, I'm just going to double check, that is the last game. That was the last game of the weekend. So that is it for the roundup of Match Week 11, and we'll move on to the Match Week 12 predictions now. So, Match Week 12 predictions. Let's dive straight into it, and I'm just going to give you the person's name and what they predicted. So, Joe first up. Brighton versus Nottingham Forest, gone for a 3-0 Brighton win. Next game up is Palace versus Wolves, and he's gone for a Palace 2-0 win. Then after that, it's down to the South Coast for Bournemouth versus Southampton. Gone for a Southampton win. Could be controversial comparing the forms of the two teams. Brentford versus Chelsea, gone for a 2-2 draw. Is not backing Chelsea at all. He almost never does. Then we've got Liverpool versus West Ham. He's gone for a 1-1 draw. Just not backing anyone other than Tottenham, apparently. Then Newcastle versus Everton. He's gone for a ball draw, a 0-0. Then Manchester United versus Tottenham. He's gone for 1-1. Surprised he hasn't backed Tottenham there. Then Fulham versus Villa. He's gone for a 2-1 Fulham win. Both teams off form. Anything could happen. And Leicester versus Leeds. He thinks that both teams will drop points and it'll be a 1-1 draw. And the next person up for this is Tom. And he has gone for a Brighton 2-0 win. A Crystal Palace 2-1 win. He's gone for Bournemouth to win 2-0 against Southampton on the South Coast. Gone for a Brentford 1, Chelsea 3. I mean, he thinks Brentford will stand a chance. They'll get a goal. Liverpool 2-0, West Ham. Sounds like a routine win there. Newcastle vs Everton, a 3-1. Nice. Man United Spurs, 2-1 to Spurs. Fulham versus Villa, gone for a 3-1 Fulham win. Quite convincing for Fulham, actually. And Leicester Leeds, he has gone for a 3-1 Leeds win. And then Ryan, who also got his predictions in. He has gone for Brighton, 2-0 Forest, Palace, 2-1 Wolves, Bournemouth, 2-0 Southampton. You might notice those first 3 are all the same as Tom's, but Tom was actually the one who sent in his predictions third. Ryan sent his in second. Joe put his in third. I put mine last, so mine probably is the most similar. But it looks like Tom might have been a bit of copying, and we worked it out. He had 5 the exact same as Ryan, so you might notice some similarities here. But moving on. Chelsea 3-0, obviously Chelsea fan, he's got to back him against Brentford. Gone for Liverpool to beat West Ham 2-1. Tight game between 2 decent teams. Then Newcastle versus Everton, he's gone for a Newcastle 3-1 win. That's one of them that was similar, that Tom had the same as. Then Manchester United Tottenham 2-1 Tottenham, I believe that was the other one that was the same other than the first 3. And then for Fulham versus Villa, he has gone for Fulham 2, Aston Villa 1. Lots of people not backing Villa at all. And for Leicester Leeds, gone for another 1-1 draw. And then last but not least, got my predictions. And because I actually know what I'm thinking for these, I'm going to explain them a little more. Gone for Brighton versus Forest, a Brighton 2-1 win. I think that Brighton, they could have scored quite a bit against Brentford, but Raya was brilliant, and I think they'll be able to get more luck out of Henderson, maybe be a bit more clinical on the day as well. And yeah, I think Forest, they might fight back, get one, but at the moment they really don't look like winning any games, so it could be a 2-3-0 Brighton, 2-3-1, whatever it is, but I think Brighton should win this game, and if they don't win this game, it would be worrying if I was a Brighton fan. Then Palace versus Wolves, gone for a 1-0 win. Wolves play, there's just never a lot of goals, is there? Be interesting to see what happens with them against City. It'll be defence versus attack the whole game, but gone for Palace to win 1-0. Probably a lot of possession-based football from Palace, and I think that Wolves will sit back and defend, but the magic of Eze, Saha and Elise all playing together will eventually break down that Wolves defence, and they'll sneak a 1-0 win to put them in good position on the table. Then the South Coast match, Bournemouth versus Southampton. This one intrigues me, and what I've put down is 2-2, but I think I might change that now, and I'm going to go for Bournemouth to win 2-1. I just really like Southampton as a club. I think they do have a pretty good young team. But at the moment, Bournemouth are just on fire. So I am going to have to change my prediction and go 2-1 to Bournemouth. Then Brentford versus Chelsea. I'm going for a Chelsea 2-1 win over Brentford. Brentford, they did look pretty good against Brighton, although people would argue Brighton played pretty well, just couldn't put their chances away, so maybe just being a little generous to Brentford. But Chelsea, good performance against Villa. Brentford, definitely a lot better, so 2-1 Chelsea win. And then Liverpool versus West Ham. This might be a bit optimistic from me as a Liverpool fan, but then again, I was optimistic predicting us to beat City 1-0, and I ended up getting that right. So I've gone for us to beat West Ham 3-0. Now, so far this season, both teams, they've looked off the pace at times, and they both look like they're on a bit of form again now, but I'm just really confident of Liverpool at the moment against Rangers, then City. I've got to believe that maybe we're back to winning ways. And then Newcastle versus Everton. I said before earlier in the video, I'm reacting to Matchweek 11. Newcastle, just really good team at the moment, and I think they'll just brush Everton aside 2-0. Everton might show a bit of fight, they seem to do most games now, but routine 2-0 win for Newcastle. Then United versus Spurs. Big game of the weekend. I've gone for a ball draw. I think it's going to be a 0-0. Spurs under Conte, incredibly boring to watch. Haven't seen much of United under Ten Hag, but I think Spurs will keep the clean sheet. But I don't think they'll score either. They're a very boring team to watch, and a 0-0 suits me. Both teams just not picking up the win. And then Fulham versus Villa. I've also gone for a 0-0, and something in my gut was telling me a 1-0 Villa win. And after their attacking display against Chelsea, you can see that happening. They did well attacking wise, but Kepa did make some brilliant saves to keep a clean sheet for Chelsea. But I'm still going to stick with my Fulham 0, Villa 0. I just think both teams are a little off it at the moment. Fulham started the season really well, but since then they haven't won in quite a few games, and I think that trend's going to continue. And for Villa, not winning this, one game closer to Gerrard getting sacked, which I don't want to see. I would like to see him done well, but the truth is at Villa, done awful so far. But the next game, last game of the weekend, this will be Leicester versus Leeds. Going for a Leicester 1-0 win. This might be surprising, especially after, they beat Forest 3-4-0, can't remember, but you think they're back. But then they went out, board draw against Palace. I mean, it's alright, but not the best result. They would have hoped to go on and win that. And against Leeds, people think Leeds have looked alright this season, but the truth is, they haven't won a game in quite a while now. So I think that will continue, and Leicester will just about scrape a 1-0 win. Maybe after the 80th minute, a corner, header in, something like that. Not a beautiful goal, but a well worked for, tough goal. And yeah, Leicester to get another win for this season, because I think Brendan Rodgers will be able to turn it around in the end, and they'll be safe from relegation. However, that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully with more than just me.